Hey bullet journalers, this one is for you. In today's video, we're going to take a look at how to design and create 4 different weekly layouts for use in your Bujo. So let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Shayda and let's do some journaling together today. For my journal, I use a Baron Fig Confidant hardcover notebook. Love this journal. Bullet journaling has become my #1 hobby over the past couple years, and I've been using the Baron Fig notebooks for I guess the past 2 years now, and I love them. So look in the description for these notebooks if you would like to purchase one. Today we're going to talk about weekly spreads. It's a huge part of bullet journaling, and you can print my weekly spread over on Patreon. So all the channel bonus content is available for a couple bucks a month. That's what the spread looks like when it's printed. Super simple and easy to use. All right, let's get started. The first spread that I want to share is for those of you that love a structured weekly spread. So you begin by marking out these rectangles, 3 on each page, and I'm placing them at the bottom left and the top right. Now, if you're using the Confidant notebooks, which I know a lot of you are using them and are loving them, I am making these rectangles 7 squares by 20 squares in my dot grid. And I think having them offset looks really nice, and you know me, I'm not into rulers. I always just pull the pen towards my body to help me make a pretty straight line, and I love that perfectly imperfect look. Now at the bottom of the right-hand page, you're going to mark out a little rectangle, then in pencil write notes across the top line, and then when you go over it in pen, that notes title kind of becomes part of this box, and that's just a great place to put your little to-do lists. You could also put a little habit tracker down there if that's important to you. I'll add a little calendar up here. I use Pigma Micron fine liners to do most of my bullet journaling, and the 01 nib is great for small stuff like this. And then items like this, like a month title, which you want to be a little bigger, a little heavier, I am using the larger nib, the 08. And for these boxes, I use the 03 nib. I'll list that in the description as well. Now we're going to add a little bit of color to our spread, and I am using a Faber-Castell brush marker, and I'm just writing in the dates, and then I'll go over them with the fine liner and add the day of the week. So this is just a great way to have a little header at the top of each box, and I always do 1 box for the weekend. I tend not to have as much to write there, so that works out for me. You can use that same brush pen or a complementary color to highlight the calendar. And yeah, at this point, all I am going to do is add some doodles. You've got a nice area up in the top corner as well as the bottom corner on the opposite page. And if you like to, and if you have the time, you can add some illustrations, some doodles. This is also a great place to put just a bit of ripped paper or washi tape or some stickers. So if you're not into drawing or decorating, there's a lot of options for this layout, but I love to add a lot of floral doodles to mine. If you need help with your floral illustrations, I have quite a lot of videos on this subject. I've actually just recently, back in February, released a series all about drawing flowers, some really simple mini florals, and I will link that series playlist in the video description. All of the flowers and leaves that I'm drawing here are included in those videos. So even if you're a complete beginner and you're not really into drawing, but you think that illustrations are something that you might like to add to your bullet journal, these videos I think are the thing for you. So I'm filling in the bottom corner here, and then I am all done. I spent about 20 minutes just doing almost messy floral illustrations. They are very perfectly imperfect. That layout is now all done, and we're going to flip over and do another one. This next spread is really easy style to create. It's good for those of you that might not have a lot of time, but still like a little bit of decoration in your bullet journal. So what I've done here is marked in 8 squares and then drawn a line. Then I move down 8 squares, draw a line, move down 8 squares again, draw another line. You get it, they're all sort of equally spaced, and then we have 2 equal margins on the left-hand side of the left page and the right side of the right page. Now on those lines, I do the day in my best cursive, and then you can see the text kind of becomes part of the line. It's just a nice way to mark out a header for each day and have it be really simple and clean and easy to do. Then beside the day, I do a little black circle using brush marker. It's much better to use your markers for these dark circles because they don't bleed through the page as much, and the Faber-Castells are amazing for not bleeding and ghosting. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite page. I am just marking out these circles. I kind of sketch them out and make them equal as best I can, but a circle stencil would also be good. Then you're going to grab a white gel pen, and using that pen, you can add the date in the black circle. I love the Signo Uniball. That's by far my favorite gel pen. I'm going to use my fine liners here to do a little calendar down at the bottom. You kind of end up with these two margins, but then you have this space down at the bottom of the page as well. So if you like to have a little calendar, this is the spot to do it. I'm also blocking out the month title in pencil and then just carefully, but not too carefully, going over it in pen, and I'll add a little marker to this. So this is just a fun way to use up the space that you end up with at the bottom of the page. We also have those margins to think about, and that's where I like to add some simple illustrations. Here I'm just sketching out some leaves, some large sort of pointed oval shaped leaves. I do it in pencil first, then quickly go over it with my 03 Pigma Micron fine liner. And you can see how quickly this layout came together. It's just a few lines and circles, little calendar at the bottom, and then any time during the week when you are just trying to unwind and relax, you can add some simple doodles in the margins. So this one is great, as I said, if you're busy, but you do want a bit of decoration. This simple layout also leaves you space at the bottom of the page if you'd like to add a habit tracker or an area for notes and to-do lists. Okay, let's flip over and do another one. This one I used to incorporate often last year in my 2019 journal, and it's kind of the opposite of the one we just did, and you'll see what I mean here. I've marked out these lines again. They're all, I believe these are about 8 squares apart. You're going to put the line, and then the day goes over the line just as we did, except this time I'm just doing the abbreviation and not writing the full day, like full Monday. You know what I mean. And on the right-hand page, there's actually room for you to have all the days of the week instead of combining the weekend. So if you do a lot of stuff on the weekend, that could be good for you. This could be your layout. We're also doing those black circles, put the date with the white gel pen, and I've got a little calendar up at the top of the page. So you can see how this layout is sort of the opposite of the one we just did. Instead of having the margins on the side, you end up with this area in the very middle. You've still got the top of the page to do a month title and calendar. There really isn't much room for a habit tracker or a notes area, although you could combine the weekend, as I often do, and put that habit tracker or notes at the top of the page. And then what we end up with is this large area in the center. So instead of having 2 margins where you put illustrations, you're just going to do one illustration right in the middle. And one that I like to do because it's fun and it's easy and it's quick is these big scribbly poppies. I kind of mark out a very scribbly, somewhat floral-like shape in my marker, and I love a warm gray, you know me. And then when I've completed that step, I take a fine liner and I kind of just go over everything and make them look more like flowers. I do have a tutorial on how to illustrate poppies and anemones. They're sort of a similar flower, so I will link that in the description below as well. And yeah, this one I think is also really good if you are busy and you want a quick and simple kind of no muss, no fuss weekly layout, but you like to add just a bit of decoration. The center area, of course, would also be good if you just wanted to add a few stickers or something like that. So this is another favorite weekly layout of mine, and I love illustrating these big, messy marker flowers. let's get rid of all my pencil marks, and that is this weekly layout all done. Very simple and still pretty. So we've got one more weekly layout that I would like to share with you, and I've kind of saved the simplest for last. I guess I do that because I always like something with a little extra illustration, but I know not everyone is into that. So I always try when I do these videos to share at least one weekly layout that is just really simple and structured. For this layout, the first step is to divide your page into 3 sections. And what I'm doing here is, because I'm using dot grid paper, it's really easy for me to kind of mark out an entire line of that dot grid. So I get this really nice rectangular line. I'm using my brush pen, and then we're going to move down 2 squares below those lines and do just a simple pen line using those Pigma Micron fine liners. Then we kind of close in those rectangles in pen, and it gives you this really nice structured area where you can write the day of the week, you can write the date, you can write the month, or anything that you need. You could also divide this and have it separated into to do or events and just write the date in the gray marker. Does that make sense? Use the gray area as your date area, and then divide the sections according to events or to-do lists. Okay, and then if you are addicted to doodles like I am, especially floral doodles, you of course could add some just in the corner there, but this is also a great place to just add some really simple little stickers to kind of frame everything and make the page just look cute. Of course, I'm doing the same thing on the other side, on the opposite page, and it wouldn't be a Shayda layout without another little floral doodle there. So leaves are something that I think you can always be successful with, and they look so sweet. All right, that's about it. These are 4 weekly layouts that I hope you'll try in your own bullet journal. This one I'm using for the month of March. This layout I actually used for January and February of 2020, and it is a favorite of mine because of its simplicity. This is kind of the opposite of that one. If you just want to do one big illustration in the center, or if you're not really into illustrations at all, here's one that is very structured and easily created, especially on a time crunch. Remember, if you want a Baron Fig confidant like me, those are linked in the video description below. Well, friends, thank you so much for watching. Patrons of the channel, don't forget to go print out your weekly layout. Those are available on Patreon now, and I will see you soon with a new tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe.